you have to jump so you can see for yourself, because if you listen to everything that your parents say, it could work, but at the same time, if it doesn't work, and then you look at them and say, well, I listen to everything y'all said, are you going to keep taking care of me? No, that's on you, son. You supposed to figure that out. So I'm not going to listen to you because you're not going to take care of me if I fall at this age. So I got to at least fail with the option that I made. That's
just different.
Hopeless at one point, and they have an opportunity to make you go harder, make you get in that booth and just really express that hopelessness. Like, man, y'all don't understand. This is like, you know what I mean? You dig from a different place. That bottom of your soul, that pit, homie, where you felt like the shit was, you know what I'm saying? You always wanted, but it looked like it was just not gonna happen.
Shit, in your mind it ain't gonna happen, shit, it probably won't. I took some risks, some people probably won't. That's how we're grateful for the fruits of all my labor. Hard to live and know you sick, I'd rather be with my creator. Think the time's up, I hit the stool and got my rhymes up.
Welcome back to another episode of For Insight Podcast. This is your host, Mike Obi.
And it's your boy, Leonard Novatry. What's up?
It's Trey Garrett. What up, y'all?
My guy, what's going down?
Good boy.
What's up, my guy?
What's up, man?
How's everybody's week?
I'm kind of getting repetitive. I'm about to change my answer. What did I do this week? No, work's been busy this week. Same old, same old. About to go on vacation. Head back home to the hometown. Go out to Detroit, see the family. Little family reunion. Do my little two-step.
Family reunion?
That's really what I've been looking for the whole week. Just when Monday hit, I was okay. Thursday, I'm heading out, and then 4th of July weekend, everybody's kind of dead on at work. I'm sure y'all probably gonna do something 4th of July.
Tuesday's gonna be terrible, right?
Why?
Because well, at the same time with work, I'm just imagining how work's gonna be. But I ain't doing nothing. I ain't got nothing planned. Now my uncles and everything tell my barbecue, I might slide through real quick, give me a plate and get out.
Trey, what's going on in your world, dog?
Oh man, this week has been a productive week. Work's been crazy. Rehearsals been going back and forth on that, man. It's been great. And the show's coming July 15th. Can't wait to get this done, because this is going to be a good production for sure. And then just trying to be productive in personal life, dog. I'm finally healed up, as y'all can kind of see. Last week I was banged up, just out of there. But now I'm good now, so not too bad. It's been a good week.
Good. I'm back in that mode. You know, I had to get back to my old routine of just getting up and hitting the ground running, trying to work before the sun gets up. Back in coaching, you know, my youngins back at camp, so we're training them up, trying to get ready for the new season of football and track and all the rest of the sports. Still trying to work on the business. We haven't officially launched. It's a pre-launch, but honestly, we already selling product, and right now we're just trying to finalize the website. We're trying to get some content going. Do some infield vlogs and work on just the aesthetics of it all. But I mean, it's all going. People, you know, they're like, oh, you're on summer, you're teaching, and you probably telling them, like, no, I'm more busy now than I was during the school year. But
you know, you gotta squeeze everything. Like, this is the time to focus on your business. And before you go, I want to talk about that. Your like cologne. Like, I've had a lot of colognes in my time, but that drive you gave me the other day. Like, I really want to say, like, you did.
Bro, when I said I've been getting compliments about the secret and everything, all that stuff as well too, compliments like off the behind. So it's like, now about to get two sellers on 2 colognes. So it's like,
I was at work just asking a few of my coworkers, because like, I like the fresh, just subtle smell. Y'all know that. And I was like, okay, so what I kind of like distinguish off of colognes is how long does it stay on me from the few squirts I put on me. I only put on my wrist and I put on my neck, and then y'all tell me not to do that, but I still have a habit to do that. But I was just at my desk, and it wasn't overbearing, but just that hint of like, I felt it, just kept smelling that coke, and I'm like, oh, this is definitely one of the best colognes I've ever smelled. And then one of my coworkers came over. I was like, y'all smell this? And this shit is like, what? And then I was like, yeah, that's. And then Kat was like, I really want to tell Obi, like, he really did his thing. I was like, yeah, y'all did it. So y'all go buy that. I'm not even playing. It's worth it.
And we appreciate the support always, my brother. You know what I'm saying? You've been around since the beginning.
Appreciate it, man.
Travis, you know, being part of the project. I mean, it's a year in the making. People are asking me all the time about man, are you excited, man? How are you feeling? You know, you feeling happy? I'm like, man, look,
It's exhausting. But it's
it's
exciting.
exhausting, and I'm just trying to keep my eyes forward and keep on going. But I mean,
It's rewarding. Though.
it is rewarding, and it's a great feeling knowing that you had an idea, you had a thought, and you were able to see the journey through. Most people don't muster up the courage to even get started, let alone to see the journey through. You know, no matter how much money you make, and especially in the beginning. You know, right now we're trying to get it. We're trying to get it walking and crawling, and give it its legs so we can run it. So, but you know, it's a lot of upfront investment. But the thing is, with every day, it's made me a better person. It's helped me grow, helped me figure things out, helped me learn how to network and how to approach and all these things. So just being able to bring something unique to the field, but nothing else, I'm able to say I was able to do this. I own something. It's mine, my whole blueprint. You know, so that's the pride aspect in it for me.
I've been wearing Mola heavy too at the same time. I'd be like secret and ambition. I put ambition right here on my body and everything. I went to rehearsal recently, and then I was sitting down at one point, just sitting there, and then I moved around, and they said, and at the end of the rehearsal, they was like, "What's that lingering smell? Like, that smells so good." And they told me, "Come here real good." They smelled me. It's like, "That's you.
Look, I'm
What is that
telling you.
cologne now?" I was like, "This is our cologne that we got." I know it's. And at the same time, that entire day, I didn't really respray either. At the same time, so
That's
I was
what
like,
I was noticing. I'm like, dog, this is gonna go a long way. And
you
I'm
don't
like,
have to respray.
if you put that, like, it's gonna be harder to sell it because y'all are fresh off the ground. Y'all know the trials and tribulations. But I was like, if you put this in Macy's, if you put this in Dillard's, and you didn't have no, like, nobody can say the history about it, what's the sales about it, and somebody just sprayed it, I guarantee you that would be a high seller. But it's like, you gotta just get that. It's, you know how it is, it's word of mouth or whatever. But the product as it is fantastic.
It looks beautiful too at the same time.
And it's different. It's a different feeling when it's yours. Like it's like, you know, I have a big collection of all these different designers, different niches, but it's different whenever it's like, hey man, you smell good, what you want? Oh, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that hit a little different.
If you feeling that, I'm like, it's me and my homeboys and everything, bro. That's
why I said, I was taking my homeboys cologne. They was like, huh? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really see too many people saying like, I'm gonna start my own cologne business.
Not at all.
So that's why I'm gonna support. And the fact that I saw you had all them boxes of your products and everything, I was like, you did it. I remember you had the little roll-ons and the oils.
The oils.
That was actually,
And those still been hidden too.
Yeah.
Y'all still have the oils?
Still got the oils on. I mean, it was one of those things. Like the oils was the first project, and those hold a near and dear place in my heart because that was what got me started, and it was honestly that's the part of the journey I remember the most because the first few were flops. Like that's where it's like, man, I could have quit and been like, man, F this, and you know, I'm like, nah, I don't really want to do it, but I was like, nah, keep on going. As many times I took it to the gym, those first few batches, and people were like, nah, this ain't it. Or nah, I smell like ass. Like I went through.
It's like baby powder.
Like baby powder, smell like some shit my grandma would wear, whatever.
Laundry detergent.
Like all that you go through, but you learn like, hey, you gotta keep going. You're new to this. You're not you're amateur at it. And then it was like, okay, then once I got good at that, it was like, oh, dang, you already got this good this fast. Like, okay, you got something. Then it was like, yo, you sell this, and when people were asking me, yo, do you sell it? I was like, oh, we got something.
You gotta make more production.
We got something. We gotta make more production. And then I got obsessed with it. It was like, okay, now I really gotta perfect the formula. Now I gotta see, okay, how can I expand this out? And then that's where my mom, you know, being the great woman she is, she's like, hey, listen, stop putting all the stress on yourself. Get a manufacturer, work with them. You got the blueprint, and then you can really be able to maximize the potential. So it was that of like, all right, bet I get that, and then we white label it, and then that's where we get this other creation of, okay, now we got the design, now we create opportunities. Now you can spend less time worried about the minute things and actually focus on the big picture. So being able to see all that, not being so hard-headed, was able to bring the journey full circle. Now we almost here.
Man,
so
congratulations.
Appreciate that. Man, we got a great episode and conversation. This whole topic really kind of came honestly from some bullshit that happened a couple weeks ago. So I caught a flat in my whip. I was driving to a little basketball thing and caught a flat tire, and I had to change it out. But it made me realize, it's like, man, luckily I know how to fix a tire. I know how
Got
to
it.
change that tire. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a life lesson. It was one of the things my dad made me learn how to do. And I remember like when he would make me come outside, he'd be like, look, you gotta change all 4 of these tires just to check them. And I'm like, why? You know, when you're young, you'd be like, man, why do I have to do it and stuff like that. But then now that you got this translatable skill now, like, man, I'm out of the house. I can't call nobody. You gotta figure it out. Nobody gonna pay money. So it was that, like, remember, like, man, this is why Pops was telling me all this years, like, this is why we teach you to do this stuff. You know, how to change a tire, how to, you know, change oil, all that different stuff. So
Wait, tell me, did y'all have like the old school jack to where like it wasn't the one where you just like it can flop up like that one? It was the one where it was like a diamond and you had to find the spot and everything. I hated that jack with a passion, bro.
Yeah.
nah, and I got the one you gotta turn it. You gotta put the jack and you gotta turn it.
Ooh, that was the worst.
Because you gotta put those. Yeah, most cars like the jacks in the cars, you gotta set it up manually.
Yeah.
Instead of like if you go get a jack at Harbor Freight or somewhere, you don't get the one where you can just jack it up. But that'd be for your garage or something. But it's definitely good to learn both of them because if you get used to that bougie one,
exactly.
And you see,
and you see the old school. He's like, how we do this? I'm like, you're gonna be stuck here for hours.
But I think what it goes to is an even more important thing of just male figures and role models are a vital part of a male's development, and an art which and something that society, many people are feeling are being lost, right? So this is just an episode in the conversation where we kind of reflect on all the life lessons, whether it's our pops, whether it's other male figures. Because for me, I know I'm here today because of all the male figures I've had, like who kept me from going down the right path when I could have gone left. Like they kept me right when I could have gone left. Because as much as, you know, people were like, oh, you're so calm and mellow and a good person and all these things that might be attributed to me, I'm like, there was a time where it could have gone the other way, and it was like, man, it was those people watching out for me, keeping me out of trouble, because my dad worked a lot, you know, so him being at work, my mom being at work, there was a lot of people who were like, hey, I could have done the wrong thing because there was nobody watching me, but luckily I was around the right people. So just first and foremost, question I have is like, who are some of the people in y'all's lives, male figures that you guys can remember on, and why are they important to y'all?
I'll go ahead and go. I say definitely my father. At the same time, definitely a big male figure in my life. I mean, mind you, my old man, he used to do those things out there, and then, but at the same time, he did that for a very good reason. He did that for us. He had a drive to do that for, and I respected that. At the same time, I hated it, but I respected it. I can understand why he did it, and I admire that. Now, of course, anytime he did it, he didn't want us to be exactly like him, and I can understand that for sure. I'm not going to be like him, but I am going to be like him in the aspect of, okay, I got to go get this. I got to make sure I got to go do this. I got to go do that. I got to make sure these little aspects of myself come from him. Like, I admire his characteristics. I admire what he did and what he showed us at the same time. Mind you, he didn't show us specifically, but it's like I was in his shadow. Yeah. And when I was in his shadow, I just saw everything he did right and wrong, and then of course I try to make those wrongs into rights for myself at the same time. And those rights, I followed that mostly to the T, of course, in the old school way, but it always didn't work out in the old school way, so I had to make it in the new school way. So that's one of my big role models, I'll say for sure, my old man.
I think what you said was us being African American and coming from that ethnicity is like you have somebody in your family who's done something the wrong way. Yeah. And it's like, for me, my pops did everything the right way, but I got uncles who haven't done things right. But a lot of things that my pops showed me was what Obi's dad said was like, make sure you get up, like if he's changing the oil, if he's fixing the rotors, if he's changing the brake pads, whatever it is, why are you walking past the trash can and the trash can is all the way up here and you just trying to build the trash can and take out the trash can? Why are you sleeping in 1201? So it's like you see our parents. Obi said his dad worked all day. You said you learned from right and wrong. I think as a kid, I knew what was wrong. So it was like, a lot of people be like, well, you're a product of your environment. Yes, but at the same time, you are, like, you can pick where you want to go.
Exactly.
So it's like, instead of me going that route where I see my cousins and my friends from Detroit and stuff like that, I was blessed enough to get taken out of that and go to Katy. But that's where my life kind of changed drastically, because it was like a boom, and then I went over to a whole different lifestyle, but I still didn't forget my roots.
Yeah.
So, because that's what my parents put in me, and even though they come from that environment, they wanted more out of themselves. They were similar to me. My dad came from that. My mom really came from that. And they were the two out of their families who was like, I want to do something in my life. And then I was the one that came out of my like generation is like, I was bad in school. Y'all know I graduated with a 1.9 in high school. I didn't care about high school. So then when I went to community college, I had to get my like morals and values right, get my focus right. And I was like, what are you gonna want to do? Because that's my life turned when my mom and dad was like, I'm done paying for your bills. And that's when that man came out of me like, okay, it's either you gonna be homeless or you gonna pay for something.
Yeah.
And that's where my life started coming up, and that's where I've taken all those things from my dad. I learned things like from my uncles and stuff, from like streetwear, like just street awareness and just being aware of everything. I've learned that from my uncles. I learned that from my uncles on my dad's side. So I was the youngest cousin, so I'm the youngest person on both sides of my family. So I've had all my cousins are 5 and 10 years older than me, so I just learned it from them. So
and also learn from a bit from experience, because back in like middle school and like sort of high school, I used to ride the Metro bus, so I saw a lot of things, and like I learned from like seeing that and telling those people that and how it was and everything. It's like, dang, I'm surprised you actually came up this way. I'm like, yeah, I came up from a hard times for sure.
that's why I like people like that though, because I'm like, I don't like people who are too tough for themselves. Like, I can be tough, but it's like at the same time, if you sitting here and being too tough for yourself all the time, it's like, are you you're really closed off because somebody's hurt you, or it's just you're trying to portray something that you're not. And I don't really like being around those people. So I'm like, you just can't laugh, you can't giggle. Like, you need to go get away from me.
I'm like, you need to go get a life.
Literally.
Oh.
See, for me, I'm trying to figure out how I want to start. I mean, because it's a lot. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, and most importantly, is my dad, right? And especially as I gotten older, I feel like our bond has gotten close because I understand him more, and I feel like hopefully he's starting to understand the type of person I was and my motivations. Being African, being Nigerian, that culture gets ingrained in you from the time you can walk, the time you can speak. I mean, Nigerian parents are going to be on you from about everything, especially about school. And I mean, I think a lot of the reason why I stayed on straight and narrow was just that fear of like, man, I'm not trying to hear what, like, I'm not trying to get in trouble. Like, they talk about putting the fear of God in you as a child, and like, that's what you had. Like, you didn't want to get in trouble. You didn't want to go the wrong way. Like, I wasn't trying to get no conduct mark in school or nothing like that, because I'm like, the last thing I want to hear is, hey, we're going to call your dad. I'm like, oh, shit. Nah. You know what I'm saying? So it was stuff like that. The main takeaway to me I took from my pops is like, especially as I got older, is just the work ethic. Like, no matter what, my dad, I never heard my dad really complain like, man, I can't do this. I never heard him say anything like that.
Same.
No matter what the problem was, no matter what the obstacle was, he always had a answer. He always had a plan. He always had a solution, a fix, whatever we had. And like, never really complained about, being a father. I think that was one thing. Like, he took that job very seriously.
That part.
Right? No matter how much stress that we put on him, because I know we did. Especially you being kids, and you not understanding how, like, the littlest things could cause stress. He never complained about it. He always took his job seriously and always, made sure that he provided life for us.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's the idea that there is no perfect way to parent, but as long as you're doing it with, love and with,
morals.
Commitment, with morals, you're going to do the right thing. Your kids are going to end up on the straight and narrow. Like, that's the one thing I always, we go back and visit now. It's like, look, none of your children are in jail. None of us got in trouble. We're all productive members of society, right? Because one of the things that tends to be the scuttlebutt is like where you end up. Like a lot of African parents look at their success as a parent as where you end up as a career, right? You end up as a doctor, as an engineer, and it sounds like if you don't end up with a high-paying job, sometimes they feel like they let you down, they let themselves down. And we have to go through those conversations of like, hey, nah, look, we all chose the path and raised us to get to where we can now be productive members of society. And that's the one thing I respect the most about him, right? And even the tough lessons, like the tough love he instilled, like, hey, yo, he used to get on me about, like, one of the things I used to tell people all the time, like, my dad was my worst bully. Like, I'll be frank because this is the truth. Like, my dad was my worst bully growing up because of my weight. And so he'd always get on me. I was the middle. So, yeah, it's real.
I remember it. I just remember mine as well.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
why I was laughing. Because it's the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So it was that, learning how to build that tough skin, learn how to,
sagging.
you know, learn how to, like, man, shit. Hey, you either going to let this break you or you going to figure out how to, you know, learn how to take the criticism and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think even with football, you know, that's where a lot of that came. You know, like Shaquille O'Neal talks about his dad and his dad being a drill sergeant, you know, and how his dad, every time his dad was disappointed in him, he'd take it out on him, beat him up, whatever the case. Now, my dad never laid hands, but it was one of the things with that same level of tough love. That was just his way of parenting. That was the way he showed he cared. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, I had to learn how to take that as like, this is the way he's gonna raise you, and you gotta take it because he's showing effort. He could let you slide, but him letting you slide isn't gonna help you at the end of the day.
No.
Right? And that's the lesson I kind of instilled like in my youngsters is like, look, I'm doing this because I care, because we want you to be successful. Right? Rather than I'm trying to do it to put you down. And I think that's one of the things that many young men kind of have to figure out is like, look, men who are tough on y'all are tough on y'all because the world isn't nice. And the world is not going to want to hear your explanation, not going to want to hear your backstory. So the only way to really be able to build the obstacles and surpass them is to be able to build the thickness, the tough skin, and the armor you need to be able to go out and fight the battles of the world. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things my dad instilled in me. But aside from him, I mean, other people is like my coaches. You know, Coach Martinez, Coach Dines, Coach Reeder, Coach Chesery, Coach Carr, Coach Kovo. You know, all of them keep me on the straight and narrow where, you know, there be days where I come to school and pissed off for whatever reason. Me and him may have butted heads or whatever the case, but it's them saying, hey, look, your dad is trying to do the right thing. Your dad is doing the right thing because at the end of the day, you're staying out of trouble, you can be great or good. If he were to let up, you would let up. And so them reinforcing the issue really made it to where it was a community raising me, not just one person.
Do you think that hinders us? Because I only hear this in our like ethnicity and our like descent of culture, like how our dad was and how our dads was very drill sergeant like, and I got my ass whipped. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, the last time that I got was in 9th grade. Like I went in class talking. Math teacher called the house, and that was the last time I talked in class. So it was like to me, I was very easy at being disciplined. Like I look, like you said, I look back at it now and then. Like my dad was like, I tell him now, I'm like, we have our differences, but at the same time, I understand why you got mad about certain things now, because I'm starting to go into my manhood now, and I'm like, okay, he was just he probably has so much stuff that he was stressed about. He got to make sure he got this roof over his head. He's very money oriented as I am, and when I lose, like if my bank account goes under a certain number or something, I get annoyed. Yeah. So it's like when you're a man, like you said, your dad, he didn't complain about nothing. He just kept a cool, calm, collective, and it's like you said, your pops, he had to go do what he had to go do just to make sure there was food on the table for his family. You gotta respect that as a man, but at the same time, as a kid, you don't see that. You're like, why is dad doing it? Why is he acting this way? But at the same time, you don't know what he got on his heart and what he had to go through throughout the day or how he grew up or whatever. So that's what I've learned, and I'm like, man, that's why a lot of kids be like, forget my parents, forget this, and that's where it takes people like us to be like, it's gonna be alright because you don't know what he's going through or she's going through, not to get in your parents' business, but just try to think about it in a different light of how you're thinking about it, because your parents wouldn't do this if they didn't love you, like the moral of the story.
And then at the same time, for me, it's also, I have so much respect for my old man, because he told us a story of when he used to be like, back in the day, very, very much hooked on drugs and everything. Because back then, of course, there was a hell of hype and everything for coke and all that stuff. But then it's like as soon as we was coming to the picture, completely stopped.
Yep.
I'm like, that is the most respectful thing, because all the stories I heard from him, I'm like, Jesus, how did you just completely out of nowhere just stop doing everything? I mean, like, no drinking, no smoking, none of that. He's just stopped for us. I was like, that's the utmost respect I can have.
It's different.
It was very different.
It kind of goes to the point, like, especially look at this with professional athletes. They talk about when a professional athlete has a child, their mindset shifts.
It does.
And it does. And it makes sense, because now you realize it's not just about you no more. You know what I'm saying? It's about your legacy. Now you wake up every day, you see your future looking at you in the eyes. Like, now I'm not going to goof off. I'm not going to be out of the club, doing stuff I don't need to be doing. I got to go home, got to take care of my family, got to make sure I'm healthy for them, because they're relying on me.
Yeah.
But to go to your point, I think what happens is we're in the culture, and I see this a lot, and I hear it a lot of, when I move out, I'm severing ties with my parents. I hear that a lot, and I've had people like say certain things of that ilk to me, like when I'd be annoyed on some of the things that were happening, and then it was like, look, just sever ties with them. When you move out, you're done. I'm like, fuck, like that's supposed to be your family, so it sounds wrong. I think what it gets to is that it takes having, they talk about in my culture having a village raise a child. Like, it's being able to reinforce the point home, one, and then being able to have that level of communication of like, look, this isn't right. Like, one of the things, I want to know what y'all think about it, is they don't owe you an explanation for what they do. And I always was kind of like, yeah, but if you don't explain it as a parent, let somebody else do it. If you let the wrong person do it, then the message get missed, right? I think at the end of the day, it's a matter of whether we want to call it the way society's evolving, is just being able to heal those wounds of the past. It's like, hey, if there is any trauma, if there is anything that is not right or is not sitting well, or if there is some sour taste or some resentment, that's got to be worked through, because if not, you don't want to wait till it's too late and either the parent's too old, they pass away, or the kid never comes home. And I had to do that. I had to do that with my dad. Like, he may not even know this, but like, I think the thing that happened for me, I always go back to when I switched majors. Well, I think the moment, whether it was said or not, it was the principle of, I decided to take life in my own hands. Like, for your parents saying they're not paying for nothing no more, it was me saying, look, I'm dealing with all this pressure of trying to please y'all, but at the end of the day, this isn't working for me. It's not healthy, right? And I understand what you guys believe the right path is for me, and but y'all have to trust me and understanding, like, y'all raised me to do the right thing. Pops, you raised me to do the right thing. I'm always gonna make sure I'm gonna take care of myself and my family, right? Which is what you guys have raised me to do, right? So when I was in the thick of it, I was like, yo, this pre-med stuff isn't gonna work. This med school stuff isn't gonna work. I'm gonna switch. And I knew when I told my moms that, she was like, go tell your dad, right? And I knew that was like, let's see if you really gonna be the type to tell him the truth, knowing you might react a certain way because we think you're afraid of him. And so it was one of the things I sat down and said, look, this is my plan. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm willing to take whatever consequence that comes with it. So if he said to me, hey, look, we sever ties with you, we ain't messing with you, like, whatever the case, I was ready for that, right? And I think that's a messed up thing for people to deal with, but that's the truth. And I know I'm not the only person who's had this stuff happen. That's the only thing I'm saying. And the fact is, he looked each other in the eyes and he was like, all right, that's your decision. We'll work with you, and boom. And I think after that, the communication was less about, no, you're gonna do this because I tell you this. Like, look, this is what you chose. This is the consequence.
Like, you're a man now. You can make your own decisions.
But see, why does it have to be? You're right, but why does it have to be you stood up to him? I don't even like looking at it like that. It's like, look, I chose to make a decision, because when we say words like standing up to him, it may seem like you're going at them and it's back.
It is in our culture, as bad as it sounds. like one of my best friends, he's Haitian, and he went to Texas Tech with me, and his dad came from Haiti, and he was the only one to come out of that group and come out of nothing, and he became an engineer. So he told my friend Kevin, he was like, "You're going to be an engineer, and you're going to be a surgeon. I'm not paying for nothing else in college." It was,
and it's messed up because I had that same
it was
thing.
either
I had
one
the
or the
same
other.
thing said, so it's like,
And he was like, "I want to go into business."
Yeah.
And the business that's a good major, but I guess his dad was just like, "That's not what I'm going to pay for."
That's not a security thing.
He stayed in it. He finished. He's an engineer still, but I don't ever want my kids to ever feel that they can't pick something that they love. If it's something I know they're not gonna probably get no money from,
Yeah.
maybe. But at the same time, look at Ryan, how he blew up, and his mom was doing the same thing. Like, nah, make sure you get a 9-to-5 job. But he making so much goddamn money from social media. But that's why I told you need to have good friends in your corner. Because like, even when you came to me and told me about that, I was like, I can't tell you what to do. I can just give you a little bit of knowledge of how that happened with me. Like, I thought I was gonna get a trade. I just never was the guy for school, and I was like, I was surprised I'm here to this day. So it's like, for me, I took that leap because my parents come from nothing and made something out of something. So I know they don't know everything,
Facts.
but they think they do. And it's like, the energy industry is such a huge industry. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I just took a leap of, I'm going into a broker shop. These people could be crooked, which they were. And I'm just getting the background and the information I need to basically play like a flipping game. And then I go to our next role. And then now y'all start giving me $50,000, $60,000 a year. And then I go to this and this and this. And I keep leveling up. And I'm like, you have to jump so you can see for yourself. Because if you listen to everything that your parents say,
You ain't gonna,
like, it could work, but at the same time, if it doesn't work, and then you look at them and say, "Well, I listened to everything y'all said. Are you gonna keep taking care of me?" No, that's on you, son. You supposed to figure that out. So I'm not gonna listen to you because you're not gonna take care of me if I fall at this age. So I gotta at least fail with the option that I made. And that's what I told Obi, and then that's why I said I'm glad he took what he took. Cause I remember he was still at home.
Yeah.
And he was now he's a teacher. Now he has his own place. Now he has his own company. Now he has his own brand, and he's in a whole different spot. And I'm like, imagine if you didn't jump and you went the pre-med route and you was not happy. You could be making money anywhere wrong, but now you're happy now doing what you want. So it just depends.
Before I go, you got something?
No, I'm saying you never really been happy at the same time because I saw how it was for you. Like, you know, you trying to go to pre-med. I'm like, I don't know about pre-med. Like, at the same time, I'm a perfect person. Like, I wouldn't say I was a school person. I did very good in school and everything. I finished, like, I really wanted to get the heck out of that, just finish. And I did that. But after that, it was like, okay, now this degree I have is not really used too much. So it's like, what the hell is this point? Like, I'm glad I was the second person in my family to get that degree and actually graduated with it and trying to do something with it, because nobody in my family, in both sides of my family, most of the time didn't go to college and nothing like that. My dad dropped out of high school when he was like in 10th grade. My mom dropped out of college and everything, dealing with us. So it's like, you know, it was a very big surprise and great that I finished and everything, did what I had to do. Now, like I said, going back with pre-med and everything, I saw how everybody dealt with that, was struggling with that, and I'm like, do you really want to go through that at the same time, doing the headaches and everything? Like, now, business-wise, this could be great for you. I don't know too much about it, but I say jump the gun and then go to another position that you can make money from, and then do your business at the same time. That was the best option you did.
So for me, I think the silver lining came was, okay, so we fast forward, we switched the majors, boom, and now I'm in college, and I'm like, all right, I done took life into my own hands, right? But it was always falling back on the same principles that were instilled in me, like, you still gotta work. And I think that was the main thing that gets missed in all of it. It's like, look, I'm still gonna work my ass off, and I still got a long-term vision. I'm a long-term thinker, right? And so because of that, I was always on the straight and narrow. Now, I started understanding my pops and all his teaching and all the things he was saying when I graduated. And I think this is the unfortunate thing about a lot of young people, and I've fallen victim of making that mistake. It was a lot of it is you got to learn by doing and seeing it in real time. And honestly, if you want to call it failing, it's failing, and then having to pick yourself up and readjust. But my thing is, look, I'm the ultimate adjust. I'm gonna learn from that. Okay, I took that experience. Okay, now I'm gonna do this next thing. So when I got out of school, we finished. We looked at the GPA. I sat in his office, and I remember we looked at it. I was like, look, okay, this med school stuff, looking at your GPA, looking at your transcript, not gonna work. Okay, you do PA, nursing, you do all this. I said, cool. So I went down the nursing rabbit hole. But I was like, while I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna also work. So I went and got my first job. Now, that whole thing of getting an undergrad, and that thing, this is what a lot of young people complain about now, getting that first job after you get your undergrad, many people think, oh, get the degree, get the job.
No.
Hell no, that wasn't the case.
You better get an internship
right?
while you're in college at the same time. That's
better get an internship, and that's a lot of stuff that people don't get put on game about. So then this is where he comes in, he's like, look, see, everything that I was trying to tell you when you were young, this is why I'm saying it now. Because look, if you had done the med school route, if you'd done the engineering route, now you more likely would have had a job, or you'd have had the job set.
Experience.
Now, and the experience. Now you're having to scramble, you're having to look, you're having to apply. And then when I started working, I finally got the job because unfortunately COVID became a thing. We weren't making a whole lot. So then it was like, look, now think about this. You're a man. You're gonna have to provide for yourself. You're gonna have to provide for your family, which means rent, bills, mortgage, all these things. Right now, the conversations are much more like teacher, student, philosopher, and like protege. Like I'm sitting there like just like, okay, this, and it's making sense. So then, once I understood that, I was like, all right, lesson learned. But the thing is, I'm always had that dog in me because I understood your work ethic. You just gotta pick. And so my thing is, okay, I'm not gonna go back to school. I made that decision that at some point I'm not going back to school, which means I'm not going back to school. That don't mean you don't get to work less. You gotta work even harder, and you gotta figure out more shit. And so then I was like, okay, I went, did that job to get the experience on my resume, and then it was like, all right, now we gotta move, which means we gotta get a little bit more income and have some more breathing room, and then we gotta have something where you can invest in the business because you gotta start up. You gotta have to start a cost, you gotta have some money saved, right? So all this, I'm thinking to myself, and I think me being a loner comes from that middle child of like, you're the last boy, they already dealt with two, and then you're not the youngest. So I was always used to being a shadow where I could just kind of be, I'm just gonna observe, I'm gonna do my thing, and people can have whatever opinion they want, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna stay locked in on the journey. And so I was like, boom, my brother was like, why don't you be a teacher? And it was the cultural aspect that hit me first, where I was like, bro, you know our parents ain't trying to hear that shit. And I'm like, I looked at Bernard, like, bro, man, you know I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole again, right? And then he's like, it's different, bro. Like, understand, it's in the man. They're never gonna not need teachers. You're good at it. You get the
especially male teachers at that.
Male teachers, black male teachers.
How said the stipend. Yeah.
And he was like, look, you just look at it this way, and then this will be able to help you fund everything else. I was like, shit, well, when you put it that way, and then me and you just started seeing two of the podcasts, I'm like, now we can use that extra money to fund the business and fund everything else. It's like, cool. So I just went and applied. I didn't even talk to my people about it. Went and applied because it's like, this is my life now, right? It's your life, and you got to deal with the consequences. You got to deal with the decisions you made. What's done is done. So I did it, got the job, told my people, hey, look, I'm a teacher now, and I'm gonna start this business, right? And whether they liked it or not, they had to respect it. It's like, all right, it's your life, right?
That part.
Yeah, it's your life. You're gonna do it. You know, you just gotta get to a point where you gotta provide. And I feel like they weren't the happiest about it, but at the end of the day, they didn't see the vision. So then we get to that point of having the right people around you, having the right support system, having the right OGs that are like, look, other adult figures like, look, you gotta stay on the straight and narrow. Look, they done taught you everything they gonna teach you. You're a man now, you're an adult. You gotta figure this shit out. You gotta keep on going. And that's what that community, I think, is important and needed. It's like, look, your parents love you. Your parents want you to just be successful, but they want you to be safe. Sometimes safe ain't always what you need. Because of that, you gotta sometimes take that leap, like you talk about, like we talk about. And that's the part that I think a lot of men have to understand. Like, sometimes it's not gonna be comfortable having those conversations. Sometimes it's not gonna be comfortable maybe feeling like you're disappointed, your folks. But at the end of the day, if you know what you're destined to do and if you locked in on it, it'll pay off reading that.
We've all heard this. Sorry.
No, you got it.
No, we've all heard this before. It's quick. We all heard this before, but you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Straight up.
Point blank.
I think for me, my dad was he's been blunt as it is since I've been
Facts.
a toddler. So it's just, for me, it was that little kid that was in me that was still a little afraid of him. So I'm like, he did discipline.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, we have our differences. I don't like how you do some things. You don't like how I do some things. You think I'm not going to amount to nothing. How about I just show you? So that's what I did. And then now it's like they look back. 'Cause I wasn't the child that nobody thought was going to make it. It was my brother. And then when I did it, everybody was like, dang. But
that black sheep, not to cut you off, that black sheep effect that you and I both had, how long did it take, if you have, for you to get past that or to forgive your pops about that?
that's something that I like, just being just honest. I still ain't forgive him. So it's like, for me, we still got our, like, I'm going to Michigan tomorrow, and like, we still got our tension, we still got our beef. But coming from hearing like Kat talk to me, hearing friends talk to me about it, I'm starting to see I'm more like him than I even knew. So it's like,
me too.
I want to like go to, like, I told myself I was gonna go to therapy and like just kind of see if that's the reason I'm like I am right now. Like, I might be a hothead because of him. I might be able to just snap at people super quick because of him. So to me, I'm like, should I go sit down? So, 'cause I'm really against therapy, but I'm like, what if I go there and it benefits me in my relationship, helps my anger, helps my just mental capacity of just being relieved of something. What if I can go do that for that? And my insurance covers it. So it's like, why not try it?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. But I still haven't, because I still have in the back of my head, like,
when we have our male role models at the same time, we end up picking up a lot of their personalities and characteristics at the same time. So like, I noticed that, like, you know, like my ex and everything would tell me I act just like my dad. I sound just like him. I'm like, I don't see it, but then it's like sometimes I catch myself like, I do sound like this nigga right now. I'm like, I was like, dang, let me change this. But at the same time, like, that's who I really saw most of the time. That I would really want to look up to at the same time. Like, and there's a few others, but mostly it was mostly him. So it's like that's the thing about having our male role models. We'll end up acting like them a lot of times.
Being a teacher, man, I'm always gonna fall back to that was when I realized I'm more like my dad than I think. Cause like, remember there would be times when me and him used to do homework and I wouldn't get it, I'd shut down, and that would make him more upset. Right, and then dealing with kids, I'm like, I would catch myself saying something like, God damn, that's some shit my dad would say. Like, it's that quick
my dad
thing.
was horrible with it. Like, he went, how don't you get it?
Yeah.
How did I wouldn't be asking you? Like, then it made me not even want to ask him.
Yeah.
I really just failed the homework. I wouldn't even ask you.
that stress of like making him mad, and then you stress because you still don't get it, but then he yelling at
Like,
you.
I'm so worried about you yelling. I don't even care.
I don't even care about what we just talking about. I don't want to get this problem wrong. I feel like if I get this problem wrong, you just gonna get mad.
It's like, yeah, go over there and do it again and try it. And I'm like, I didn't know.
And I'm saying to that point, maybe that's where, because there was a point, like I was always good at school, but there was a point where I was done at school, and I think it was part of that. It was like, I'd be in class, and when I wouldn't get something, I'm thinking, I gotta go home and hear that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta go home and hear that. If I don't get it, my mom gonna tell me to ask my pops, and he's gonna get it, or he's gonna be able to figure it out. And if I don't get it, then I know that's gonna come with yelling and consequences. And then, like you said, that fear aspect of like, man, you can't be like, bro, chill. You gotta sit there and take it. So then it's like, bro.
It's like for me, I mostly got that from like, I ain't getting no heart from my old man because I mean he wasn't in school for long at the same time, so I couldn't ask him no questions. Most of the time, it's like when I was slipping up in school, my mom would just be on my behind, especially when they had the online report cards and everything. She always look it up and look at the conduct. I was like, damn. When I heard my full name being called, middle name and your first name, your last name, I was like, oh damn, I knew I was fucked up. And so like I remember them times I had to, because they wasn't too much book smart, so I had to they make me go study.
Yeah.
And then back then, my mom, instead of us like being kind of in kindergarten and everything, we had the CDs, and she make us sit there in the computer room, learn that. If we would fall asleep, whooping. Like get back over there and learn that at the same time. So that's how we learned. And I was like, I hated it, but I loved it at the same time because it made me smart.
So do you think we should discipline our kids the same way?
Okay, so my opinion on that one is discipline, and it's not about discipline. Sounds so much like just whooping them every time they do something. My approach is you're gonna get disciplined if you do something wrong and immoral, like violence, or if you do something I taught you not to do yet, you're gonna get your ass whipped. But if it's gonna be a lot of teaching on the front end, and you gotta be involved, and that's the one thing I think parents are afraid to do now, is that they're not involved and they want the teacher just to take care of everything, and so then they don't support them on the back end, my observation. But for me, it's like we're gonna have this structure, we're gonna take care of business, and you gonna get out what you put in.
So with kids, I think it's just about being able to incentivize them and saying, okay, what is your end goal, right? If you want to go through the motions, that's not gonna fly, but understand going through the motions will only get you so far, and you're gonna pay for it one way or another. You're either gonna pay for it now, and then you'll be able to enjoy later, or you can enjoy yourself now, and then you're gonna pay for it severely later. And I'm not always gonna be here to bail you out, to figure it out. So we're gonna instill this now, so that way you'll be prepared for whenever it comes up. That's the way I'm gonna teach. So it's not gonna be about just disciplining, about whooping them, but about being able to get them the real about life ain't fair, life isn't easy, life isn't nice to you. So you gotta be able to, build that armor up. You can provide for yourself.
That's how my mom disciplines. Like even my niece, like that's how I know that discipline style that my mom did for me worked. My dad was more, I'm gonna tell you once, and if I tell you again, I'm just gonna whoop you.
And then I'm gonna tell you again.
Yeah, that's just my dad. He ain't gonna keep telling me. So he was like me and my brother, like for example, we was in the grocery store and he was like, if y'all hit me with this cart on the back of my foot, I'll whoop y'all ass.
Whooping your ass.
And he told us when we walked into the store. So we get somewhere in the store, we hit the back of his foot. I just told y'all. So
now you're getting your ass whipped.
That's what we did.
Yep.
So, and my mom can't save us. And it's just like, whatever. But my mom, she whoops me, but she would explain to me like, I love you, this is why I did it. Like she would after she was like, this is why I did it. I don't want you to think I'm just abusing. I'm doing it so you don't do it again, or you to go somewhere else and act that manner again. She does that with my niece now, because my niece might act the fool, and she would do that, and then she would come in and say, Nanny loves you, but this is why I did this, because you're acting this way. And then she would come in there and be like, Nanny, I love you for doing that. Like, I can tell you, like, so
She
I
did
think,
that? She did that?
Who, my niece?
Yeah.
Yeah, my niece, and she's only like,
Boy, no way.
I got a question. What do you say? I'll play devil's advocate and I'll bring this up again. Kids aren't owed an explanation, right? Kids aren't owed an explanation, and so therefore, you don't need to be explaining why you did it. Like you're the parent, you're the adult, you're the authority figure. They just gotta learn and they gotta get it.
let you know.
You better let me know why I got my ass whooped at the same. I mean, because like a lot of times, like it was random times where I got whooped after taking a shower, and then but they'll tell me why during the whoop at the same time.
Yeah, so
I'm like, damn, I can't do this again because I don't want to experience that ever again in my life.
Yeah, because it do hurt.
So it's like, yeah, I'm like, nah, like you better let me know. If you just whoop me randomly, I wouldn't know what the heck goes for. I'm like, I don't know why she whooped me. It's like I didn't do nothing. But then I'm like, oh, it was from that time last week or like a few days ago. I forgot all about that. I did mess up. So
and that's kind of what it is. Like, I think it's 50-50. Like, sometimes, like, my nephew, he's very, you too grown for your age. You speaking in grown folks' business. That's when I be like, all right, and I tell him, look, I'm the younger uncle, so it's like, I still kind of relate to the kids. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to get too mad, but I can see why my parents or my brother and sister-in-law might get mad at him being like, you are too in grown folks' business. Stay in grown folks' business. If we tell you to do something, don't ask us 1,000,001 questions. Shut up and just listen. And if you keep asking me, I'm gonna whoop you. But I think if a parent is just overdoing it, then I'm like, okay, at least give the kid a direction of why you did this, because you gonna make that kid maybe get angry and go up to that school and go beat somebody up. I might go kill somebody. I don't put that on nobody, but like, this is what kids are doing now, is because kids are emotional. Kids overreact, and when they go to school, a lot of that results to how parents can discipline their kids. So it's like, I think as parents, you have to, it's a thin line of over disciplining to a point where you like, okay, don't beat this kid. Like, let's explain to them, this is why this happened. This is how you do this. I don't want you to go conduct yourself as a bad way, and this is why I'm doing that. So
I just imagine myself at the same time, like, explaining something to my child, and then I get up like, nah, I did the explanation, just take the belt off, like, let's go in the room right now. It's about that time.
So the reason I asked the question is because I'm looking at my past experience, and I'm looking at the way I observe society. Two things tend to happen to that. So one thing is that emotion that kid feels is got to be manifested in one way or another. So if you tell them, I don't owe you an explanation, shut up and let me just do what I do, they're still going to have that thought in their head of, why am I always getting beat? Why they beat me? Why they do this? Yeah. And if they can't talk to you about it, they're going to either keep it to themselves, but then now you're letting that kid, you're going to let that kid replay all that emotion, and it's going to marinate, it's going to fester, and eventually it's going to manifest itself in another way, whether that's them bullying some other kid in school, and then we talk about, man, why is this kid picking on these other kids? It's like, they got to let that out because you let that out on them.
Or he's going to end up shutting down.
Or he's going to end up shutting down. And like,
different angles.
There's a lot of different angles that can go. Like, I was the type, and it's still like this now, I was always the loner in the family, and I'm still like that now, right? Like, it's always a guard up, and I'm like that with people. Like, y'all tell me this, like, yeah, bro,
I'm like that too.
You know, where it's like you don't let nobody in. You guard up. You always got people at arm's length. I'm like, that's the only way I know how to be, because I feel like it's always some level of threat that I have to mitigate, right? And so, like, people would always ask, like, why are you always by yourself? Why do you, like, you never want to stay? You never want to. You don't never want to stay nowhere. You always got to, like, peace out early. You know, it's one of them things, like, what is that about? I'm like, because, like, I know how I am, and I don't trust people easily. I don't trust people at all. I don't trust humans at all, really, truly. And so, even your own blood. And I see, like, one of the things I've told people is, like, family has the highest ability to betray you and to break your heart, because, I mean, they're the people who you're supposed to be like, man, I should be able to rely on you and go to y'all, but sometimes it's not always the case, right? So it's like, well, you're by yourself, you feel alone sometimes, but you have to learn, like, hey, this is just part of life, and you just got to figure out and find people who you can rely on, but you got to rely on yourself first and foremost. But then you have to be able to figure out those emotions you go through and make sure that they don't corrupt you, they don't hinder you from making a better life for yourself. So that's the only reason why I'm like, for kids that are very impressionable, you have to make sure that you're teaching them, because if you don't, then they can get the wrong teacher, they can get the wrong message.
I do like the old method, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. It's got value.
I do think this. I don't know how people discipline their kids now. I mean, I'm curious to see the guys in our generation. Because a lot of them are starting to have kids now, and I don't see the parental guidance as I saw growing up.
What do you mean?
How we saw it. Like, I think our dads and uncles and grandparents was more strict on us than I'm seeing us on kids.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm curious to see the next generation of kids.
I think we're at a point, my bad, Trey. I think we're at a point of overcorrection, or maybe even like some of I think single parents I hear did this a little bit, but I think we're at a point where we might get to an overcorrection, right? We had all the disciplinarians for the two people households where they instilled all the discipline, right? And then naturally, just the pendulum of life is the people who had the super disciplinarian parents, especially those who wanted a bucket, they're gonna be the super enabling type, you know, the ones that are going to probably be the best friend of their kid because they want their kid to be able to trust them and to be able to come to them, right?
I do hear that a lot.
I do hear that.
And so then maybe that's the observation of our generation is like, you know, where it's like, man, you know, those people's parents were too involved, so then they're like, yo, I'm gonna be more the mentoring type. You know, and I don't believe in that either. Don't get me wrong. For all this explanation stuff I'm talking about, like, nah, there's still a line of you are still meant to be the parent and the authority figure. But that overcorrection is what I'm noticing is probably going to be the trend, and then eventually is going to come back to some type of middle ground, is what I observed.
Like pretty much what I hear nowadays with some homeboys and everything who's having daughters and stuff, they said they couldn't whoop their daughter. I can understand that because I wouldn't want to whoop my daughter. Yeah. I say I do, but at the same time I'd be like, I'm gonna let the mama handle that because I can't touch my daughter at the same time.
My brother's like that. He do yell at Aspen, and he'll be like, all he gotta do is Aspen. He'll be like, Aspen.
Yeah.
And then literally she'll just stiffen up and she'll just come, and Gabby don't give him no problems, but Leah's not as strict on Aspen as, but all Drew gotta do is be like, say her name and she'll just stiffen up, she'll walk out. But I'm more stricter on her. Like, she kind of got crunk with me, and I was like, I ain't your mommy and dad, I'm gonna whoop you. Like, I don't care.
I did the same thing with my niece at one point. It's like at times, like, you know, I'll say her name and she's like, but then it's like she'll probably go back and do something bad. I'm like, okay. And so instead of me I ain't gonna whoop you, I'm gonna flick you.
Yeah, I used to do that.
That's what I'm gonna do with my daughter and everything. Now my son,
oh yeah,
you getting your ass whooped.
Literally.
You got ain't no way, what. And so it's like I see that the whole best friend thing as like, nah, that can't happen.
You can't, because
like,
then
you can't be a best friend with your kid, because your kid gonna end up. I don't see that running because they gonna end up probably running over you at the same time.
That's what I was about to say. I need, like, I would tell Kat, like, I'm gonna need you to put your foot so far up her ass to the point where, like, because if I have a daughter, she's going to challenge her.
Yeah,
he's going to. They're going to end up fighting because,
especially if my daughter's like me.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to get to that teenage year. We're gonna say you can't go somewhere.
You're ruining my life.
You're ruining my life. Like,
they
knowing,
do it.
Yeah, knowing, like, especially like with Kat, like when she was. I'm hearing her stories when she grew up. Yeah. She used to break out of her house and go out when I'm like, if you lived in my house, you would.
Hey, what?
Well, we have bars, but wait.
No. See, me being me, I would have fun with it. Nah. Like, obviously, you sneak out. You sneak out when you come home. I'm gonna be that type of parent. I'm just gonna be. I'm just gonna be there, sitting there waiting for you. Like, do you have a good time? Where'd you go?
Just wait until you come.
Yeah.
With that belt, so you had a good
time. Right on there. And my grandma.
Wait, am I in trouble?
Like, I've got hit with, like,
you'll figure out what I'm gonna do.
Like switches and stuff from my grandma and stuff off a tree. Go get a switch off a tree.
And everything. Not twigs. My bad. The actual branch, because you can't get no twigs. That thing will break, and then you ain't get no real whooping.
And that's what I was like. I'm
gonna let it build. I'm gonna let that anticipation build. Like, I'm just gonna be sitting there waiting for him.
You trying to build fear in them.
Ryan's mom, Miss Kim, did it interesting with him.
Oh Lord.
She was more militant. Yeah. My homeboy, she was like more. She would make him cut the grass like scissors. Like, she did stuff to humiliate him, like dye his hair a certain color to go to school.
I'd be that type of parent too.
Oh, that's humiliated.
I'd pop up at school,
switch his shoes, like make him wear different stuff. So, like, if you gonna act up, I'm gonna make you wear something so bad to the point where you're gonna get teased at school.
Yep.
Damn.
I'm not even gonna do nothing like that.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to probably try that.
And like, she whooped him, but like that didn't work around because Ryan was so like, you gonna stop having to hit me? Like, I'm just gonna take it. She's a single mom.
One thing I remember observing was my 8th graders. We had a little school dance, or whatever. And the young ladies were talking about, man, these heels hurt. I'm like, yeah, you see, you wanted to be grown. Now y'all got to deal with it, right? So my thing, one of the punishments I thought of, I was like, what would y'all say if, let's say, you had a daughter and she was trying to be grown, she tried to buck at you. I'm like, okay, this is your punishment. you have to walk around in heels, like the highest, most uncomfortable angle. You have to walk around in them all day long.
I don't even know if my daughter's gonna be able to wear makeup. And
No. That's that point. I'm like, you ain't wearing makeup for a long.
That's something I've actually thought about a lot. I'm like, if I have a daughter, like, when would they start wearing makeup? And
I'd clown it on. Like, I'd make her literally walk, like, clown makeup. I would make her walk around in that. I'd make her put
that would make a girl kind of get straight, because they're more into like how their image is. That would definitely straight. I hate you.
That method would work.
That method would work. With a guy,
Major Payne, and make them run around in dresses like Major Payne did on that movie.
I know what you're talking about, like, especially with the little boys and everything. You do that with them. So.
Shave them bald to make them.
Shave them.
Oh, he said Major Payne with
I remember. God, until I got good, that's what I kept having to do, get a shaved head. And I finally asked, like, can I get waves? Yeah. I remember I did that so bad in elementary. I was so bad. They said, nah. I said, can I finally get waves? They was like, hey, now you can finally get it because you're acting a little good. But then after bad again, I got bald head again.
I was a good kid. I was a bad, I would say from 3 to like 7. Like, my mom told me stories, like, she said for some reason as a baby you wanted to fight every other baby. Cause like, she said you had a habit of just doing like this to them. Or if my mom promised me something and I didn't, like, she promised me Wendy's. Man, this is a fat trait, probably, but it just she promised me Wendy's, but she switched. She's like, I'm gonna cook pepper steak. I was like, no, you told me to give me Wendy's, you're gonna give me Wendy's. She's like, I'm not doing it. So I buckled my little car seat, and then I got to the front. I grabbed my stairwell. You gonna listen to me? And that's what she did. She basically punched me. I flew in the back, and then she was like, my dad traveled a lot, and my dad's like, when I get home, I'm gonna whoop him. But it just, I think you need it as a kid.
You do.
I mean, a lot of people be like, well, you shouldn't do it to your kid. I think I needed it, because like, don't come grabbing the steering wheel.
I remember one time where my dad hit me with the belt buckle. It was an accident, for sure. But then he said, I'm so sorry I hit you with the belt buckle, but I still got to whoop your ass at the same time. Yeah. It's like, I'm doing this for a good reason. Mind you, that did scar me at the same time, but like, I see why he did it though.
Look how you came out. You came out good.
Yeah, I came out really good. Not too bad. So it's like, whooping ain't that bad.
It ain't, man. It builds character. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So next thing I want to transition to. First off, y'all got any questions, man? We didn't
hit a lot of stuff.
We hit a lot of points at the same time.
All right, couple more things. Is there a life story that epitomizes kind of a male figure, or one of the main things that you guys learned that you still rely on today?
Yes.
What would that be?
A woman's never not going to be able to say that I can't fix something. I'm always going to figure a way to, like, mount TVs, change your oil, make sure your rotors are changed, brake pads, water pumps, cut grass, shovel snow, cook. Like, the list goes on and on for me. So it's like, that's something I feel like men are tremendously lacking. Like, lacking across the board. And that's something that women really want in a man. Like, as much as women be like, I need you to buy me stuff, this is why I think the real men are still winning, is when you sit a woman down and be like, if you just get your mind off this social media stuff and you just sit down and be a normal person, you're going to see the actual man that you really think you've been wanting, like, take care of me. Hey babe, can you put this TV up? Hey babe, we got 4 stools and it's in the package. Can you put it up for me? Yeah. Those are things that a woman would be like, I'm gonna make his lunch for him. I'm gonna make sure I give him massage, and I'm gonna make sure he got lotion. I'm gonna make sure, like, put a note somewhere. Just little things like that, to the point where that's what I think men are lacking, because men think they can just use money. Is important, but if you still got your hustle, you got your drive, but you also got the morals and values that our parents and OGs put into us to put into your woman that she's lacking, I guarantee your woman will never cheat.
It's the same thing. I said the exact same thing, to be honest, because it's like, pretty much, especially if I didn't really know how to do something, I'll do my quickest way. YouTube or use a resource that a person who I have,
Literally.
if I know personally as a resource, hey, what can I do right here? This and that. Okay,
Literally.
bet. I got that done.
Literally.
Easy. And then it's off her head and everything. And then especially if you can be a solution-oriented man.
That's it.
That's it.
That was it.
All you need.
That was it.
If
That
you,
was
you
it.
can't be a
That's the
solution-oriented
bar.
man and give a solution out to these issues that this woman's having or that you have in your relationship or that you're having in your home, then you cannot, it's not gonna be looking good for you.
Secret to all this is just have some drive and ambition, shameless plug.
That's all it is,
But I
though.
mean, that's the truth. It's just about, you got to have a plan. Like, you just got to have the capability to have a direction. You know what I'm saying? I think as long as you have that, you know, a woman will be able to respect where you're going because you know you got something. It may not be right, but you'll be able to figure it out and you'll be able to adapt. I mean, for me, piggybacking off that point, I think it's just being able to have that work ethic and that dog. Like, if there's nothing else you could say about my dad, he was going to work his ass off and he was going to provide no excuses. And I think that was his main thing for me is like, look, I'm going to figure it out. It may take me a little while. It may take trying things out, but best believe I got that dog in me and I can't fail. And this honestly made me a little obsessive, maybe a little unhinged, but it's like I ain't got no choice. Like, that's the way it's got to be. So one thing is, like, any person who knows me knows, like, I got that drive to say I got to be better. I got to keep on going. And like, it's probably why, like, they'd be like, are you excited? I'm like, nah, because I got to keep on the straight and narrow. My dad was not the type to over-congratulate himself. He just was on to the next day. That's the main thing I took from him. It's like, look, you just got to keep on going because life don't stop. Bus moving faster. That's all it is.
Like,
You know?
I think a lot of men, I seen a woman post on her story the other day, we just want a man to be able to lead. A lot of men don't know how to lead anymore. That's something that I feel like a lot of the people back then that I've seen that are men were capable of doing were knowing how to lead a household, because a woman could say, well, why can't we be up there? And you can, but it's like at the end of the day, women do look to a man to lead a household so they can still stay in their feminine roles. And a lot of women now are like, well, I think I can do that. Yes, you can, but it's about how you go into different roles. So I think everybody now is just missing the big picture, and it's just.
And to also piggyback on what you said right there as well, like you said, they can't lead, but the thing is, 99% of the time, we will always be in that mode. We will always be in the mode of like, what's that? We got to fix that. Or like, a threat is coming and everything. We will always be in that instant.
Yeah, I can't look at my girl, but what we gonna do?
Exactly. Like, she's like, it's
I don't know what to do. I'm helpless. Oh my gosh,
Man,
I'm a
I
parent.
can't do it. I'm like, no, I know exactly what to do. Get your butt over there, do that, and then we gonna get this done. But it's like a woman, they go through so many emotions, they go through so many things during that entire day. We go through the same thing, but it's a must for us to always have that instinctual know of what to do. A woman, they will have that instinct as well, but they will end up knocking themselves down because at the same time, with everything they've been through with their feelings and everything. So it's like, you can do that, but most of the 99% of the time, you have that man who will be on the back end right there. It's like, I know exactly what to do. That's what they want.
That's it. Man without a plan is a dead man in the room. But,
Yep.
all right. It's about that time for that topic. What is the one thing your male figures have taught you about women and dealing with women?
Honestly, nothing.
I'm trying to think too, to be honest.
The stuff that I've seen growing up, from women to fathers to uncles, I have not been, like, I love my parents and they've been together for 28 years, but just to be transparent, stuff that I see in my household, I ain't trying to have that seen in my household.
Man.
And it's like, what I did take from it though, out of all of the negative stuff, my parents stuck it out through thick and thin. I will say that. And now,
Kids?
huh?
Was it for the kids?
Nah, my dad don't give a damn about us. Like, he do, but like, if my dad wanted to leave, he's leaving.
Yeah.
Like, but I think my mom does everything, and that's why my standards were so high for women, because my mom she lost her mother when she was 2 months. One of her brothers got shot in the head 3 times. Like, one of them lost his life to a heart attack, and I just lost my auntie Sharon. So she's had a rough life and lost her father as well when I was like 1. So they've always been on welfare. They've always never had nothing. So my mom she was the youngest of 6, and she always had to train herself to get out of bad relationships, this and this. And even though her and my dad went at it, whatever, she went back to college. My dad made her go back to get her bachelor's degree. She ended up getting an account manager position. She cooks. She made sure her husband was taken care of with a plate on the table every day. Make sure his water. Make sure my plate was made. Make sure take away. Then she eats. Then she takes all our plates, clean up the kitchen, do this, shower, get in the bed, do it for 365 days. Make sure I'm getting to school. So it was hard for me to see if a woman be like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" Well, don't ask me what I'm gonna ask you to give me the world like my mom gave me the world. So for me, it was hard for me. So I didn't really take nothing from it. I took from seeing what my mama did, and I said that's what I want out of a woman. And what my pops didn't do for my mom, I did the opposite and gave it to a woman. And I got my flaws, and that's why I said the more and more I grow up, I see I'm more like my father more than ever. But I don't fault him, because at the end of the day, you're a man. And it's like, you had your flaws, you had your positives. So it's like, I just learned to not judge my dad for what he messed up in his relationships, because I've been in a 6-year relationship before my relationship now, and I messed that one up. So it's like, if I was to sit here and say you had a kid in your last relationship, and then he looked at you and was like, "You were wrong," but you like, "I just had to live and I had to learn." And then he's like, I hate dad," and I was like, okay, it could be looked at the same way. So it's like, I didn't learn nothing from him. Maybe y'all can give a different.
I can't. Yeah, I didn't learn much either, to be honest. It was a lot of arguing and dysfunction in the family a lot of times. Like you said, like how your mom and everything cooked and everything like that as well. My mom did the same thing, cooked for everybody, had food for that lasted about like maybe 2 weeks or a week at the same time. Yeah. And that was amazing. And that's what I definitely wanted, a woman who can definitely take care of things around the house and everything. And then mind you, with the whole cleaning and stuff, yeah, she made us do all that stuff. Yeah. But that's understandable, because she did a lot as it is already, taking care of us and everything. Now my dad, at the same time, he did take care of us in that same aspect. But teaching me about a woman, I didn't hear too much. I can't think of what he told me at the same time. Right. I can think of everything else he can tell me, but about a woman, it's just like, is she good? Okay, that's it. I don't remember anything else, to be honest. So didn't really have a lesson being taught to me for that. Maybe you can elaborate on something different.
Yeah, maybe you can get a light to this one, good.
All right, so it's 2 male figures, but I'll go with my dad first. My dad and my mom's relationship, their marriage, I would say I saw what loyalty and dedication looks like in a marriage, right? So from my mom's aspect, I'll start with her first, even though this is a male episode. My mom, when you talk about having a loyal wife and a loyal, dutiful wife, it goes more than just cooking and cleaning, right? When I was butting heads with my dad and it got bad, I go to my mom. I'm a mama's boy, right? So I go to, I'm like, man, he's tripping, man. He's doing this, he's young, yada, yada. And my mom was like, nah, he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing. So she would never take my side and be like, yeah, he's wrong. She'd always be like, nah, your dad is doing the right thing. And it would annoy me sometimes. I'd be like, bro, why are you always taking his side? Little did I know that was the exact thing to do, because if she had let me even get in the habit of, oh yeah, you're wrong, and my mom agrees with you, then I would have lost our respect. So it's that idea of having a wife and having a partner that is like, look, no, we are in this together. We're all gonna be on the same page, even if they didn't agree, because they would never let us see them have an open disagreement. Like I've only seen them.
Never did?
One time, I'm lying. One time I saw them
That's still great.
That's still great.
like where it was like I could not see it. Everything else would be like, she'd be like, come on, let's calm down. And then like, he'd be like, no, I'm gonna do this. And then she'd let him get his piece out. And then they would probably go like talk about it in the room, right? But the whole thing was, she would never try to challenge his authority in front of us. She'd never try to challenge him. She'd never try to tell him, oh, that's wrong. She let him do what he needed to do, and then they would probably
She'll probably
hash
say
it out.
when y'all sleep or something. Mm-hmm. And that's what I
It's
told.
one of them things,
That's what I
right?
told Kat that I wanted to do. Like if we, I admire that so much. If we have kids and because my brother got into it with my sister-in-law saying like we should never go at it in front of the kids because they gonna do exactly what you said, and that's beautiful.
And so it goes to like when you talk about loyalty, like it's not just loyalty from not cheating and not committing adultery. It's also loyalty from like, hey, I'm gonna have your back in front of the children, or if anything tries to get in here, tries to deter the family. Now we all gonna be on the same lock and key, right?
So the point of it all, I think, is just a matter of being dedicated to raising the family. This is why, like, me and Lon, like, when we talk about marriage and all that all the time, I'm like, it's about the family first, and that means that you have to make sure that you let the husband lead if that's the role he has hashed out, and in letting him lead, you gotta follow. It doesn't mean that you're less than, it doesn't mean that you're beneath, it just means that, hey, he's the head, you gotta listen to his direction. We all follow him because at the end of the day, you trust him. You trust him to be a husband and a dad. And that's what it is in terms of my parents' marriage, right? And then just for my dad, I mean, as I got older and I started talking on him, right, it was like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I see where all your mindset is. He had his father, he had a mom, and he had a stepmom. And I think him having that stepmom was what kind of opened his mind up to like the world being a little different. Because like, his siblings from his stepmom's side is not the same with his direct siblings. Like all his direct siblings, we all have a relationship with. We're all close with family. With the other side, not the case. So I think for him, he was able to see that dichotomy of like, okay, look, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that as a man you just tell me you have to have empathy, you have respect, you enable and empower your woman to do the right thing and to, you know, if she wants to take on a career, you try to do everything you can to provide that for her, because at the end of the day, it'll help you guys all be better at the end. So it's just understanding that. And then some of the principles in terms of interacting with women that I embody is like respect yourself, respect your peace. Like those are all things I say. I say them to y'all, I say them to youngsters, I say it every time. It's like you gotta remember to always respect yourself. At the end of the day, you're gonna respect a woman's decision. You know, even if that means that you guys aren't gonna date, you guys aren't gonna be together, at the end of the day, you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so when people look at me and my demeanor, it's like, man, this dude just don't care. It's like, no, I don't. It's not that I don't. It's, I understand that I'm not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but you gotta be okay with that. You can't say, oh man, that person don't like me, that person not rocking. Nah, it just is what it is. It is the people in this world. So it's always doing that, standing on 10, standing on what you believe in, and make sure that you are trying to lead the world in a better place, leading people in a better place than what you were. So I'd say those were the main things I took away from my parents' marriage, you know. Then I guess a lighter mood story. I have, this comes from Coach Kovo, one of my mentors. He probably, I'm be curious if he remembers this one, but basically this was the idea of closed mouth don't get fed. So again, being African, your parents really don't let you date like that. Like you come home at 15, 16 years old talking about you got a girlfriend, your mom gonna look at you upside the head like, no you don't. Mm-hmm. Like it's gonna be that type of thing, right? So in terms of like dating and women and interaction, I was always a little bit more mild-mannered. I was a little introvert already. And then not having that practice when you're younger, like when you're 12, 13, right? You have to figure it out as you go. So then it came time, I was a sophomore, I think, and homecoming's popping around and everybody's asking, getting dates and yada, yada, yada. So then my teammates, we're all sitting back in the D room, in the defensive locker room, and they're like, yo, Mike, you going with somebody? I'm like, you know, I'm trying to play cool. I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe, you know, we'll see. And then my coach sees me talking to one person. He's like, hey man, I see the way you look at her. She really good look for you. I was like, Noted, right? So then he's like, are you gonna ask her? I was like, I was thinking about it. This is your challenge. You gotta get out your zone and you gotta ask her. Cool, right? So
Can't
then,
do it, coach.
huh?
I can't do it, coach.
But it was a challenge of getting
I try to put it like, I don't know, man.
building that confidence. I understand what he was doing. Like, first of all, that made me respect him because it wasn't just about him coaching and teaching me football. He was trying to teach me the game of life. Right? And that's what it is. He was trying to teach me the game of life and apply life to sports and everything else. Right? So I remember I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this, right? Went and got her something, got a little cute little proposal going. So then that next day at practice, he comes up to the side of me and he's like, hey, so what are you gonna do tomorrow? I'm sitting back, I'm trying to I'm gonna ask her to homecoming. That's right, you are. Make sure to be a gentleman. At the end of the day, just be confident, believe in yourself, and closed mouth don't get fed. I was like, yes, sir. He's like, now you understand if you come to practice and you didn't do it, I'm kicking your ass. I was like, yes, sir. So, boom, get there the next day. You know, and my dad sees the little thing going, because remember, I didn't even have that relationship where we talked about females at the time. Sees that, he's like, hey, what you doing? I was like, I'm going to ask a girl to homecoming. He's like, well, be confident, good luck on your proposal, and, you know, have a good day. I was like, the fuck? You don't have that relationship, but I was like, I appreciate it, you know? So, Zach, you come around, ask her, she says yes.
You never know that type of relationship.
So
Definitely did.
she says yes. I hate that quiet look after she leaves, and then I told him, I'm like, yeah, so it worked. So that story is a representation of having positive male role models. That little thing of, hey, you got to build confidence, and you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid of failure. It's important, right? And that's something that's being reinforced. You know, maybe your dad didn't have that relationship, or I didn't have that relationship with him, but I had that male figure that was like, look, I'm trying to make sure that you're a better human being. And part of it is, you know, getting over fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of anxiety, whatever that case is.
Yeah.
So I always remember that story, not just because it was about me talking to a girl. It's about me being able to overcome fear because someone pushed me to be better.
Just having confidence, period, at the same time.
And I fall back on that today, like, you know, hey, closed mouth don't get fed. You always are better off asking and getting rejected and dealing with that than being and living with that, man. What if, man, I should have talked to her, man. I should have talked to her. That's why this fragrance stuff's really fun. Now I'm like, in my element now. I just do this shit like it's second nature. So all that comes from OGs instead of me getting me out of my comfort zone. Cause I could to this day still be like, man, I'm an introvert, man. I don't really talk to people like that. Right? As much as I am and as much as I still have a lot of those tendencies, I had to get better at it and had to face that, you know, and now I'm better for it. So that's the only thing I recall from that experience, is just making sure, oh, hey, Cole and Pops and all them taught you just, hey, always believe in yourself and just take on good faith.
Easy said and done right there. That's easy.
It's Lord. Anyway, that's a good final subject, a good final topic. Good episode, fellas. You know, I feel like we touched on a lot, talked about a lot.
My element to that.
Yeah, all of us, man. Push the comfort zone, push the limits, but
Talking about male figures like that, it does bring the oddity at the same time.
it does. I mean, because it takes you looking in the mirror, kind of reflecting on the past, and then how you are in the present, looking at how you want to be in the future. It kind of brings life full circle. And I think, you know, this is the part about talking about therapy and stuff. Like, guys don't want to have these conversations. Really being able to look at the past, look at, man, damn, do I still harbor resentment? Do I still have I forgiven? You know, and I think that's one thing. Like, for me, youngsters, man, forgive y'all fathers, man, or forgive anybody. Forgive your fathers, forgive your parents, because at the end of the day, like, they raised you, they just did the best they could. They didn't have all the answers. You're not gonna have all the answers. So you gotta forgive them and just keep moving. You know what I'm saying? For your sake, not for theirs, but for your sake. You know what I'm saying? As a human being.
That's true.
And I think that's kind of the whole take home from this, is just to make sure that people are able to be better from whatever their experiences, whatever your past told you, it's not true of the present. It doesn't have to be what your future is.
That was it. Double back off what Obi said, just do it for you. Like, that's kind of what I dealt with. I was like, if you're gonna grow up, you can have resentment, you can have anger towards your parents, you can do all that, but at the end of the day, you gotta let it go at some point. So I think the true healing process on anything is you gotta let it hit you.
Yep.
And if you don't let it hit you, you'll never thrive and elevate from it and say, this is what I've learned from it. And what a lot of people don't say is your parents did the best that they could do.
Yes.
And a lot of people want their parents to be Superman, but it's like there's no Superman unless like you just say, look at how you came. Like my pops put me through college. Like regardless of what he did that I seen, he did. You spent over $100,000 to get me through college. So if anything, I respect you for that. So that's kind of how I looked at it. So
I look at it at the end of the day, pretty much the same thing. They did what they could at the same time, and I respect them for it. And most definitely, like I say for sure, if you want to look for a positive role model, male role model, look for that like if they have positive morals, and then also like what are they teaching you? Is it helping you build yourself up in confidence? Is it helping you build yourself up in talking to people, period, or just getting yourself out of your shell, being uncomfortable being out of your shell? So if that's happening, have that person to keep talking to that person, keep that person around you, really have that good deep conversations with them, because they can always teach you some little nugget that you never knew, and you'll keep that quote in the back of your mind a lot of times, and that right there can be a game changer for you by the end of the day.
Shit, man, that's a word. Hey, that'll do it for this week. Again, follow the YouTube, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you can catch all these gems when they drop, man. We just trying to do the right thing and trying to lead the world in a better place than we find it. Follow us on Instagram, Obi.Mike56. You can also follow the Molit perfumes, fragrance, and tap in, get you some Molit in your life. Follow the podcast on Instagram. Follow the fellas, follow the family. Hit us with your topics, your questions. We'll make sure to get them done for you. Fellas, y'all got anything else?
no, mine.
Nah, just follow the page, LaShawn.116, and then follow the Molit perfumes, bro. Gotta get that smell good. I'm telling you, it smells too good.
That was a good one.
It was a good one.
Good episode, bro. Loving it.
You can catch this episode on all your listening platforms as well as YouTube and the Spotify for podcast platform. See y'all next week.
Feet on the ground with a prove you wrong mindset. I'd rather go out on my sword than have my mind tapped. The ones with eyes can never see, I make the blind clap. I'm bringing back that type of sound that once divine rap, homie.